Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Happy New Year.
Yes, and welcome back. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a long break.
We took a little bit of a hiatus, and we are back live and in person and in color, and you can join us anytime.
Yes, and tonight, very exciting stuff going on. We're going to have, I believe it's the 140th inauguration of the City Council.
Mm-hmm. And most of them, which means they've been there too long.
Yes, most of them were reelected. I think we only have one seat that is new. I believe that is, what's her name, Carolyn Bell?
Yeah, but she was already there.
Yeah, so they've all been there before.
Just a new position. Yeah.
Nothing new for these guys. Carol Bell, yes,
yeah.
And that happens tonight at 7 p.m. at the Johnny Mercer Theater at the Savannah Civic Center.
So if you'd like to go and attend and see the inauguration of the Savannah City Council and what they're going to do to separate you from your money, then by all means.
Yes, and if
be there or be square.
I was going to say, pay attention to what they do this year. It is going to be interesting. They would like us to be the most energy efficient city on the map here in Georgia, which means that we are going to have some big problems coming our way, Bill.
Yeah, that's why the inauguration is at the Civic Center, which I think it costs $10,000 just to open the doors. So yeah, we're already efficient right there.
Love it.
Way to go.
It. Well, it's owned by the city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So really it's free.
Yeah, basically. And of course, there was Tybee Island hosting the Polar Plunge over the weekend for New Year's, which is always fun. Have you ever done it?
I have not, and I missed it again this year, but
So be prepared for that.
Yeah, it's called climate change. Yeah,
yes,
and we have it about 4 times a year.
Yes, and I think it's called seasons, but
yeah,
who am I?
It is.
Who am I? I'm no expert in climate,
That's right.
So I can't answer the question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know how we got the Great Lakes? Climate change.
Wow. Well, also happening while we were away, of course, we knew that it was going to be a very hot and heavy news cycle during the holidays because everyone just wanted to shut off the TV and enjoy themselves, enjoy their family, which I hope all of you were able to do. But welcome back. Lots of stuff going on.
Hope Santa was good to you.
Yes, and that you had a good New Year's. But now it's time to get to work, people. We have an election year. It's going to get wild. 2024 is here, and elections are going to heat up. We do have an interesting election here going to be happening in Chatham County. We do have Senator Ben Watson has a primary challenger, which has not happened in this seat. So on the Republican side, so it will be interesting.
Within the party itself.
Yes.
Yeah, Beth Maggioroni. And we will have both of them on with us in next week.
Next week, yep. And if you have questions you want us to ask them, please send them our way at info@thelocalspin.com. You can also put them in the comments here. And we will ask those questions and see what they have to say.
info@thelocalspin.com.
Or you can put them in the comments. And Steve Statton, yes, we have a new time, 9 a.m. Looking at our numbers, most people were not watching during the 7 to 8 o'clock hour. Very early for a lot of people, so we decided to start at 9. It also helps us get the most up-to-date information to you guys as well. And Steve Stanton Sr. also says, "Go Beth."
Yeah.
So I guess we know who you're supporting, Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens in this because not only has Ben never been challenged, majorly challenged, but not especially from inside the party. So we'll find out what that's all about, why Beth has decided to throw her hat into the ring and go for something this large as a stepping stone, so to speak. Usually you start, maybe city council, school board, something like that. But she's going for the gold.
Well, I also think that The interesting thing about this, too, though, is, Bill, we complain that we don't want career politicians, but then we want them to go through a career of politicianing before they run for certain seats. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
Look how well we did in the presidency with a guy that wasn't a career politician, and you would have thought that all the success that he had, people could see that. They didn't need the media to try to spin it in the opposite direction. They could see for themselves, oh, I'm making more money. Jobs are coming back. They told us gas would never go below $2 a gallon. It went below $2 a gallon in some places, including here. I can remember filling up one time at Kroger because we get Kroger points at time, but it was like $1.86 or something. I hadn't seen that since the 70s. Then the foreign policy was getting better. The military was getting stronger. None of our soldiers were getting killed. Nobody was even shooting at them anymore, practically. We had our own. We were going after our own. We were selling our oil. You would think all these things people would have said, okay, this is the guy to keep going with, and they didn't.
Well, there's a lot of things that happened in 2020. We can dig into that, and we will be, because Brad Raffensperger is in the news again because he is refusing to testify. He is challenging whether he needs to testify in the Totenberg case, which is coming up next week. That should be rather interesting. We will have people that are on the ground there to help us understand what's happening in the courtroom and what's going on there. So we do have some people around the state that will be attending that, so we'll be checking in with them.
I'm sorry, people. There was interference in this election. This was an illegitimate election, and Donald Trump won this election. Okay? There's when the truth when finally the truth comes out. If we had a real media in this country, which we don't, then we would know this already, and this would have been overturned by the extreme court.
Yes. So hopefully the Supreme Court starts taking cases, because they have been known to turn down cases that could have helped us not have all the shenanigans we're seeing now.
I'm stunned at some of the things that they've turned away.
Well, I'm hoping that they take this Colorado ballot case up to the Supreme Court. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Really quick, Mary McCann Hybrider says, time for change, vote for Beth Mageroni. I do think that it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. People typically always vote for the incumbent. We have seen that time and time again. In the state of Georgia, 94% of incumbents got their seats in 2022. We'll see if that changes in 2023. It's going to be a hot and heavy election year, not just here in Georgia, but everywhere. Steve Stanton Sr. says, I'm bracing for impact for what the DNC alphabet agencies have in store for us in 2024.
There's even a story, it was on the WSAV website, and they're on your side, that Democrats fear electoral bloodbath in North Carolina.
I hope so.
The guy running for governor is one of my favorite people. I mean, he is just outstanding. The black, he was the
lieutenant governor.
Yeah, the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's made the news quite a few times with his speeches. He's been very good.
When he got up at that rally against guns and read him the riot act, that put him on the map.
It most definitely did. And here's the thing. There's supposed to be a lot of stuff coming out today. I don't know if you guys recall, but there was a judge who made a decision that a lot of stuff that was redacted in the Epstein case was going to be revealed. And what happens first thing this morning? There are reports in New York at Roosevelt Island that there are buildings shaking and utilities going off. No one really knows what's going on, but there are reports of multiple explosions and shaking buildings. So helicopters are in the air this morning. I believe there were 4 spotted over Roosevelt Island. So we'll keep you guys up to date on that. But it's amazing that all of these things happen on the same day things are going to be released. It's just a coincidence. But
just unbelievable.
Yep. And Steve Stanton Sr., thank you for always keeping us on our toes. Mark Robinson is the lieutenant governor that is running in North Carolina, and I don't think whoever's running against him has a chance. He's and here's the thing. When we really like people, it's because of their charisma. And unfortunately, politics, you have to have charisma in order to be able to keep a crowd entertained and also be hopeful. I think giving people hope in voting for you is a huge thing, especially now in 2024, when 2023 was a really, really rough year for most people. They're trying to tell us that inflation's gone down, that,
more
you're getting
jobs
paid
created.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the lies are just staggering. But when you live it every day, I don't think people are going to believe it. I think, we'll see what happens in the history books. But while we were out, the Maine Secretary of State decided that she was going to go by the Constitution.
Yes, sirree.
And take Trump off the ballot.
Yeah, she knows her stuff.
I qualified Donald Trump for the ballot, but under Maine law, any registered voter can bring a challenge. And that's in fact what happened. There were 3 challenges. One of those challenges was brought by 2 former Republican state senators and a former Democratic state senator. And I was required by the law to hold a hearing within 5 days and then to issue a decision. This is something that I did not choose to do, but that I was obligated to do under Maine law and the Constitution. This is not a criminal matter, and Section 3 of the 14th Amendment does not require a conviction. That definitely makes it a more complex and close question, as I acknowledged in my decision. It was not a close call on the question of whether January 6th, 2021 was an insurrection.
So 3 people objected, and so she was required to do something?
Yeah,
3 people?
Required to disenfranchise all of the Republicans in the state of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
by the way, I don't know what she knows about the Constitution, but the 14th Amendment does not apply to President Trump.
It doesn't apply to the office of the president or vice president.
Yeah, the president. President or vice president. So this is immaterial.
Well, here's the other thing. He has not been charged with anything.
Yeah.
He's not been charged with anything. There's been no confirmation of an insurrection. Just because the media says it's so and Jamie Raskin says it's so, it doesn't mean it's so.
The pirate?
Yeah.
Jamie Raskin.
Yeah. Well, and Liz Cheney, who destroyed all of the evidence, so all of a sudden there's nothing to see here? Mm-hmm. But you have to believe us?
I guess so, yeah. Did she I guess she was studying the Hildebeest training films.
I guess so.
Get the bleach bit and get the hammer and destroy hard drives.
Yeah, these people are ridiculous. Yeah. And Steve Stanton Sr. says they will impeach her. That's that's on the table right now because the Republicans there are not happy. And Mary McCann Hybrider said he hasn't been charged for insurrection. Exactly. So I do think that we'll see what happens, but the people behind this, Melanie Sloan is the executive director of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Doesn't that sound like they're doing good things?
Yeah, responsibility and ethics in Washington in the same sentence is really.
They're not doing a good job because that's not happening out there.
That's for sure.
Unless your name is George Soros.
Who are some of the biggest donors you have, and is there a restriction on how much money they can give you?
We don't have any restriction, but I would say our biggest donors are, for example, the Open Society Institute is a very big donor.
And whose organization is that?
Well, it's a foundation, but it's well known to be George Soros is the one who funds it. The Wallace Global Fund gives us money. The ARCA Foundation gives us money. Those are some of the big foundations where Carnegie Corporation gives us money.
You do see a thread through the different sides in this where a big donor like George Soros will give to an awful lot of progressive organizations. Does he ever ask for anything directly?
No, and I have met him, and he's never asked for anything at all. And I meet with the program officer from the Open Society Institute, and they're very happy with what we do, and they're very keen on transparency. We're part of their democracy.
Very keen on transparency. So are we. We're keen on transparency. What is? I'd never heard of just about any of those organizations.
Open Society, really?
Open Society, I've heard of, but ARCO. What's that? I thought that was. I was thinking of aluminum, but that was Alcoa. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not them.
No,
but it's amazing how much money is going into this type of thing.
But George Soros hasn't asked for anything.
Yeah, except for I think taking Trump off the ballot is a big one, but
yeah,
could just
other
be
than that.
Yeah. So,
ethics in Washington.
Yeah, and Steve Stanton Sr. says law in this country has become a matter of opinion with the DNC. You're absolutely right.
And it's their opinion.
So do what they say.
SRE, compromise and do it our way.
And then Ann Drabeck says, did she just out the names of the launderers with the laughy face? And Lizzie Warren said, of course, Soros doesn't have to specifically ask. I know, the rule's already written, right? Mm-hmm. Destroy this country at any cost and get Trump.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's that. Arco is a petroleum company, is what Lizzie Warren said. So interesting. Very, very interesting.
I was just wondering where they get their fuel. Is that like Citgo? You know, if you're doing business and you see Citgo, unless you were running on fumes, I would suggest not buying it. That comes from Venezuela. So.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Citgo is a Venezuelan company.
Do you know who had a really interesting breakdown of the energy policy that we've come up with in this country?
Would that be Senator Kennedy?
Yeah, one of my favorites. He keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
He does. Yeah, and this is his take on things.
Clip 6.
So,
ready? Here is President Biden's energy policy in a nutshell. First, we're going to stop producing our own oil. Then we're going to buy oil from foreign countries that hate us, so those foreign countries can have more money to buy weapons to try to kill us. Sometimes I think President Biden is more concerned about the best cure for toenail fungus than he is about saving American jobs. Someone, please tell the Commander-in-Chief that neither my car nor the greatest economy in all of human history runs on fairy dust and unicorn gear. To the whole thing, it's like his team has put together their Middle East policy with vodka and darts. In Washington, D.C., common sense is illegal. I swear to God and all the angels, that's true. Maybe that's why the aliens won't talk to us.
Okay, I love him. I think he's so funny.
Should
have been a stand-up comedian. He missed his calling.
Yeah, so he's got a great career after politics.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely glad he's up there.
I am too.
But that's the whole thing. We want term limits, but then it gets rid of some of the good people that, like, there's always a give and take there.
There's term limits at every election.
Yes.
It's up to you. You can vote these people out. Everybody, quit trying to pass the buck onto somebody that and say this is not our responsibility. So there should be term limits. Go to the polls and vote. You can vote these people out at every election, okay? Or keep them in. One of the two. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just plain.
Lizzie Warren says the only way EVs will become common use transportation is if the government bans ICE vehicles. And Lizzie Warren says 94% of incumbents in Georgia win re-election. They sure do.
Yeah.
And again, we have an interesting primary here, and it's going to be Ben Watson and Beth Maggioroni, and they will be on our show next week. So if you guys have questions, please email them to us at info@thelocalspin.com. And we will get those questions asked to them, and make sure you tune in next week for that.
For sure. So, and tell all your friends, and share this with your friends as well, and let them know, because it's a podcast. You can, just because we're live now at 9:00, you can watch it at any time. If you like the 7:00 show, then you can watch it at 7:00 tomorrow morning.
Yes, but you have to watch it live in order to have your comments right.
That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the biggest story of 2023 and 2024 is the border. I think we're going to have to continue to talk about this. We need to continue to put sunlight on it, because I don't know that people understand what the impact is going to be. I would love to know the information regarding how many of them are in Georgia, but also how many of them are in Savannah. And when we get back, we'll be talking about what the heck is going on at the border.
That's next. Stay real.
serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
Did you know that Florida and Alabama vote on hand-marked paper ballots? In fact, 70% of America vote on hand-marked paper ballots. One person, one vote. If you feel like Georgians should vote, one person, one vote on hand-marked paper ballots, be at the state capitol, the Gold Dome, welcome legislators and demand we change the way we vote before the 24 elections.
Be there, January 8th, 10 a.m., Georgia State Capitol, Liberty Plaza. For more information, go to georgiansfortruth.org.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America. We are going to be talking more about the border and economy. Yes, Steve, you're right on top of it. We are going to be facing some interesting things in the next decade because of the invasion that we've witnessed in the last year, or the last 3 years, excuse me. And Steve Statton's right on the money this morning. The foreign wars are also going to be something that come up, and there is talk that we will be in a war by November of next year, and will we have an election? There's a lot of questions surrounding that right now, so it'll be interesting to see how this year plays out.
Do you notice, Brittany, that was the same questions that they were talking about with Donald Trump? He wasn't going to leave office. He was going to take over. He was going to declare some sort of martial law and make himself commander-in-chief forever, or something along those lines, like it was Venezuela or something.
Well, I think that was the precursor to what they were going to do when they got back into office. And I love how we always say when they, or we don't know who these people are. These people that control the country right now. It's rather interesting. I don't think Biden is doing that on his own, as we will see later on in the show. But I do think that the border is going to make for one of the most interesting problems that we've had, and one of the most catastrophic. We had over 247,000 illegal immigrants were let into this country in December. The ones we know about.
Yeah, yeah.
The ones we know about. And that is another record-setting month. And I think we've had them every month since Biden has gotten in.
A lot of them military-age males,
yes.
And a lot of them Chinese.
Well,
now, why is that?
Great questions. I guess, our enemies may be sending people in here.
Hard to believe.
Ben Bergquam is always on the border. He's always talking about what's going on. And one of the things that I find quite appalling is that we're seeing them just drop these people off. They're not managing them at all. They're just dropping them off and saying, see you later.
Yeah. Eagle Pass, Texas is just a disaster area.
These guys are out in Eagle Pass, all the border towns. If you want to get a side view of the bus right here. Viajes al domicilio. They're located in all these border towns. So they load up there and they come and drop them off at these NGOs. They're really supposed to be dropping them off at the gate to make sure they're getting all checked in, but they just come and drop them off.
Really? So these people are just being dropped off. They're brought by
Viajes al domicilio. They're located in Eagle Pass.
How can they drop them here without actually dropping them in the...
I have no idea.
Did they just leave a bunch of illegal immigrants just outside?
Yeah, Viajes al domicilio right there.
That's wild. Drop them off in the parking lot. That's unbelievable. So they just came and dropped these guys off in the parking lot. Didn't even actually bring them into the facility, so they could have gone wherever they want. Now, obviously they're going to go in there, but it just shows the disorder of this invasion. They're, you know, it's just, they're getting so many people, they can't even control the process. ¿A dónde vas en Estados Unidos? Chicago? ¿Y tú? ¿A dónde vas en Estados Unidos? ¿Ah? ¿Utah? Okay, ¿tu familia? Sí. ¿A dónde vas en Estados Unidos?
Carolina del Norte.
Okay, North Carolina, sir?
Nebraska.
¿De dónde son?
Colombia.
Colombia. And going to Nebraska?
Para Nebraska.
Wow. Man, everywhere, all over the country.
All these illegals just dropped off at VI's on domicilio.
That's wild. So they just literally dropped them in the parking lot.
They dropped them off, bro. And
like
we
not
see
no official transfer.
Nothing.
Just
no.
dropped
and I don't
them
know
off.
how they get through the checkpoint on 57.
Well, they have paperwork from our national security or homeland security.
My mind, man.
Yeah, piece of paper. I mean, you see it here. They've got this is actually the
tags they
tags
get at the
put on
border
it.
patrol when they cross the river.
And you know, the sad thing is, I feel for some of the people that are coming. It's just this whole system. It's not even them that are the problem. It's the people like Sandra who are inviting it. That's the big problem. Venezuela. ¿A dónde vas en Estados Unidos?
A New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Orlando.
Orlando? Okay.
Ojalá que se votan republicano. Porque
Tell them the Democrats are socialists. Democrats support Maduro.
Biden es socialista. No estamos ganando nada, guardando nada de dinero ahorita.
That word needs to spread.
It does.
Every one of them.
We've been dropping that little number over at the when they be crossing at the border, dude.
So we got another. He's coming in hot too. Going to pick up.
Yeah, that one's gonna pick up, take them either to the airport or to the M7 hangar, man.
All right, guys. So we're heading en route to McAllen. Made a stop out here in San Antonio. Going to be swinging by the airport real quick, showing that. But you can just see this is nonstop. It's continuous. The number of buses, and this is like this all across our country. It's not going to stop until you demand it to stop, and especially in Democrat cities. You guys invited this. If you've been voting for Democrats, this is what you're inviting. You're inviting your resources to be used on people that don't have a right to be here. They've just been coached on what to say. That's what's happening out here. It's up to you to fix it.
That's wild.
And this
They're
is
not
going on
managing this at all.
24/7. Yeah,
They're not managing it at all.
No. And it doesn't give any list of how many trauma surgeons or civil engineers are in this bunch.
Oh, dang it. We need to know that.
We really do. Yeah. We're doctor shortage. Are any of them air traffic controllers? Because we sure as hell need those.
Yeah, well, you can see that they don't speak English. They do not speak our language. This is going to be a nightmare. And Steve Stanton Sr. says this is an invasion. It most absolutely is. Ann Draybeck is with us, and she says, imagine if they allow these men to be in military, like I have seen some suggest in exchange for citizenship. They will think nothing of taking out we Americans. We need to go after those aiding the movement of these people. New York is having them register to vote.
That is, by the way, that was Senator Turbin was one of the ones who suggested
Dick Turbin.
that, Dick
Durbin, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Mary McCann Hybrider says, every state is a border state. This is an invasion. And Lizzie Warren says, seriously, why do Americans have to stand in line for a passport control at airports when these people are allowed to just waltz into the country? It's very discriminatory. It absolutely is.
Good question.
And I also
non-vaccinated too.
Well, I also saw video of them in Chicago. They dropped them off at a train station, and there were people just sitting in there. Ben goes in there to talk to them, and they're like, oh, we're supposed to go to Indianapolis. And the trains don't go to Indianapolis. So then they have to, so he's explaining to them, you have to get back on the bus, go to downtown Chicago, and then that's where you can be dispersed. But they're not telling these people what they need to do. They're just like dropping them off and saying, good luck out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can figure it out, because they do not speak English, and they don't read English.
And why are they going to Indianapolis? You notice that when we've done these
Nebraska, Utah,
stories before,
Georgia.
They ask them where they're going, and they all have a location where they're going.
Yep. I wonder how. Actually, the strain on our system is overwhelming. My mother-in-law spent 3 days in the ER because of all the beds were full. How many illegal aliens were taking up the hospital resources? That was Lizzie Warren. And Ann Draybeck says, thanks, Bill. I wondered where the suggestion giving them citizenship came from. It's very frustrating, and I just don't understand. I don't know if people are oblivious or if they've just decided they don't watch TV anymore, or I'm not really sure, but I would think that there would be more outrage, because honestly, this is going to change the whole dynamic of our country. And we're not going to have any fabric left to sew together once we have all these people in this country and they've decided that they're setting up their own little communities and they don't interact in English. They expect you to learn their language. And you have people from Egypt, China, I mean, you name it, they're coming in here. So it's not just one language we would have to learn. It's multiple languages. And it's
no.
When they don't want to
You learn
assimilate
English, okay?
Well, they don't want to assimilate, Bill. And that's why we have such strict immigration policies, is so that we could keep America, America. And now
Exactly.
we're not able to do that.
That's how the great melting pot became so the establishment of this country, is that people came here to be Americans. Many of them changed their names because they were so complicated in their language. Dobolashevsky or something like that. They changed to Dobel or something, or Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them changed it to Washington because they thought George Washington was a great American hero and the father of this country. And that's not taught in schools anymore. I remember an NAACP rally, the folks in the National Association of Always Complaining People, that were going down through Columbia, South Carolina, and there was a statue of George Washington there. They actually built a plywood structure around it so he wouldn't be visible to them.
Oh.
I mean, this is beyond the pale. This is disgusting.
It absolutely is. And Lizzie Warren says, if they don't assimilate, they cannot work. If they cannot work, American citizens support them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I think that we're going to see huge conflicts coming because there are people that are used to getting the government benefits that are no longer going to be able to get what they're used to getting because we're paying for all of these people. I mean, that's bottom line what it comes down to. We're already taxed at 50%. How much more tax can they tax us? I've heard that the IRS sent out letters last month, and the amount of collection is staggering.
We got a letter. We got this letter from the IRS that we owed money on something we didn't even know what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
You didn't pay your taxes on so and so. What the hell is it? We talked to our accountant, turned that over to our accountant and said, What's this? He said, well, I thought you were supposed to know. We don't know what this is.
Oh my gosh. So
I remember one time I got a note from the Georgia Department of the Treasury, and they said that I didn't owe any taxes for that year, but I needed to pay them $750 for not owing any taxes.
Oh, interesting.
I was never so flabbergasted.
Well, and Andre Beck says, but they will be given the vote and suck the life out of us as they are now. It's how you take the U.S. down. Absolutely. I do think that is one thing that we should be talking to our representatives about here in Georgia. That's one thing that they need to assure us. How are we going to know if illegals vote? There's nothing indicating anything on their driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
That is really scary to me, Bill.
Yeah.
So how do we know that those people aren't already voting in our elections and aren't going to be voting this year in 2024?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happens when you try to do the right thing and you try to make sure that your state is not overwhelmed? The Biden administration comes after you and says, we're going to sue you if you enforce your own laws.
Yeah.
And Ken Paxton, probably the best AG in the United States right now, he had this to say about what they're going to do.
Explain to us the gravity of the problem and the challenge that you're having to deal with there in Texas. I mean, it's hard to fathom how big a problem that might be.
You know what? It's costing us billions of dollars, but that's not the most significant thing. The most significant thing is the crime, the increased human trafficking, drug trafficking. We have literally thousands of kids dying from fentanyl overdoses that don't have to die because we have the cartels having an easy line into Texas and an easy line to get into the country. And so it is having a significant impact, and it is going to spread beyond Texas, beyond the border states. It is an American problem, and I think it's clearly caused by the Biden administration. You can see that under Trump, these problems were diminishing, and now under the Biden administration, who has basically struck down all the policies that worked, we have significant problems with all of these things, and they're getting worse every day, which is hard to believe. You'd think after 3 years, he would have figured out a way to make it better, and instead, it's getting worse.
Well, there's an immigration backlog in the courts there of some 3 million people. Some of these people coming across the border are getting court dates that are 10 years in advance. At least that's what some of the reports are saying. So I don't know how they propose to do this, but they sent Secretary Mayorkas and Secretary Blinken down to meet with the Mexican president. But that seemed to be a meeting to just have a meeting, and now they're talking about actual amnesty. What's your take on what's going on there?
Yeah, look, this is a joke. There's so many people coming across the border. There's so many people in the legal system. There's no way they'll keep up with it. But everybody knows how it actually works. They come in, they claim asylum. Under Trump, they would have had to stay outside of the country. Under Biden, they're allowed in. They disappear. Most of them don't show up for their hearings. And there's almost no expectation that they will, given the numbers and given the backlog. It's not realistic to think that many of these people, or most of these people, are ever going to actually have their hearing. They're here to stay, and the Biden administration knows that. They built the system to make it happen. And this idea that somehow these meetings with Mexico, where Mexico is now requesting that as a fair trade for them stopping the illegal immigration through their country into ours, that we're going to somehow fund dictators in South America and Central America. I mean, what could go wrong with that? It just seems like a really bad idea, and we've lost our leverage given the fact that the Biden administration doesn't enforce our own federal immigration laws.
Well, and now we're getting reports that there's some 15,000 people in a caravan moving up and north. And look, these are like daily numbers now coming out of Mexico. Not all Mexicans, people from all across the world. We have no idea who these people are and what they're trying to do. So Texas, I feel for you, because you're trying to do something, and yet the Department of Justice wants to sue you over it rather than ask for your help.
Well, not only that, but they're cutting down our fences, they're cutting down our wire. We sued them over that. I mean, they won't even let us put up fences. They damage our property, they come on our property. And then, of course, this threat of a lawsuit, because we merely want to protect our own citizens from the crime and the cost of illegal immigration, when it's really their job to do it. And instead, we've got the Biden administration, as I said, aiding and abetting the cartels, encouraging the cartels to make billions of dollars and to bring as many people here as fast as possible and as soon as possible. That's what the Biden administration is doing. They're not just not doing their job, they're actually encouraging the opposite.
Well, it's interesting to me when they went down and met with the Mexican president. It made me wonder, are you meeting with the right people? Because it strikes me that the drug cartels, the mafia, if you will, is actually more in control of the northern part of the Mexican border than the Mexican government. And they could put troops up there. They could do things. But I just really wonder who's actually in control there in northern Mexico.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, there's no doubt that the Mexican government could do more to help us. And they did under the Trump administration, because President Trump insisted on it. But there is no doubt that the cartels have been incentivized. They're making billions of dollars. They make $8,000 to $12,000 a person that they bring. So they're incentivized to bring as many people as possible. And remember, it used to be the way Border Patrol worked. They were there to stop people from coming across the border. And now the cartel doesn't try to hide people. They don't try to sneak people across. They take them directly to Border Patrol. It's like a handoff. So it's a partnership. It's not the way it was supposed to be, but that's where the Biden administration has taken us. They've taken us to a partnership with the cartels, so the cartels have the opportunity not only to make as much money with importation of humans, but also the border now is clear for their trafficking of drugs and other things that they make money off of. And so they're building this network, not just in Mexico, but across the country.
Unbelievable. I appreciate what Texas is trying to do. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us.
I have so much respect for Ken Paxton.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done an amazing job. They tried to impeach him. They tried to get him out of office, and he still stands. Yep. So I think that he's doing incredible things. I think that he is going to be one of the major heroes that come out of this crisis that we're in. And I hope that the Biden administration takes him to court. I mean, but here's the thing. The administration has lost how many cases, and yet they still are doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me. Really quick before we toss to break, Steve Stanton says the woke are after Ken Paxton, like nobody's business. Lizzie Warren says anchor babies will allow almost all to stay. That's a scary thought, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Why don't we go ahead and tell Senator Turbin that maybe we could get the cartels to join the military.
Oh, there you go.
That sounds like
they're pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't mind shooting people.
Yeah, and Mary McCann Hybrider says the federal government is responsible for protecting our borders. What a joke! What is wrong with our Republican leaders? Heads should roll. Absolutely. If you're able to attend CARW this week, Buddy Carter will be there. And I think that it's a good opportunity to ask what they're doing about the border, because it doesn't seem like they've done a lot. They're not willing to take extra steps they're not willing to feel the pain. They need to start feeling the pain, and they need to, you know what? No border security. Nothing else gets passed, and the government needs to be shut down.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. But when we get back, we'll have a few things that are on a lighter note. Hopefully we can have some fun before we leave for the day.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's coming up. Stay real.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Did you know that Florida and Alabama vote on hand-marked paper ballots? In fact, 70% of America vote on hand-marked paper ballots. One person, one vote. If you feel like Georgians should vote, one person, one vote on hand-marked paper ballots, be at the state capitol, the Gold Dome, welcome legislators and demand we change the way we vote before the 24 elections.
Be there, January 8th, 10 a.m. Georgia State Capitol, Liberty Plaza. For more information, go to georgiansfortruth.org.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. Happy New Year.
Yes, and hopefully we see some good things happen in 2024, but get ready for a wild ride. And of course, New Year's Eve happened over the weekend.
It did.
And Biden was asked some questions by Ryan Seacrest, which is always entertaining for the most part. I do think that you'll have to let me know what you guys think the interaction between the Bidens look like to you, but this is what their message was.
Yeah.
As you look back and reflect on 2023, what sort of memories, highlights stand out for you?
Well, one of the big highlights stands out for me is my dad used to have an expression. He'd say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than the paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. So many people through the Midwest and in the center of the country, their factories are shipped overseas the last couple times out, and they were losing hope and faith. So we brought a lot of jobs back to the United States. People are in a position to be able to make a living now, and they've created a lot of jobs, over 14 million. And I guess I just feel good that the American people got up. They've been through a rough time with pandemic, but now we're coming back. They're back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pandemic that was created by the government to begin with.
A very odd interaction there. Jill Biden looks a little annoyed, but
where'd she get that dress? Has she been studying Michelle Obama's?
Okay, breaking news. She is the worst dressed first lady that we've ever had.
Well, Michelle Obama was pretty bad.
I don't know. Some of Michelle Obama's stuff was like elegant, though. I mean, she always
once
looks.
in a while.
Well,
Getting
she
off
looks
Air Force
frumpy.
One in her shorts and
Yeah.
bathing suit or something was a little disgusting, but she is too. But nevertheless,
Yeah. Steve Stanton Sr. says, even though it was pre-taped, a total fail. What an odd answer to that question, too.
Yeah.
And you could see the note cards in his hand, too, which was very odd. And Lizzie Warren says, my eyes, that outfit, it's horrible. Like, she needs someone else dressing her.
was it Christmas wrapping paper that they had too much of and said, we're going to make you a dress out of this?
I have no idea. I mean, it was
pretty bad.
The dress is really bad.
Pretty bad.
And then they say Melania was not a classy first lady. I'm like, she was dressed to the nines and she always looks fabulous.
Can you imagine if she'd been a Democrat and they'd have said, oh, here's a woman. She speaks 7 languages. She'd have been on the cover of every magazine just like Michelle Mabel was.
Yes, exactly. And Andre Beck says the busy dress is to distract you from what Joe is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe they do have that figured out.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad to know all those jobs are coming back and people can make a living now.
Yes, well, hopefully they can start making her some new dresses. But Lizzie Warren says, I could take her to Walmart and make her look better.
Yeah.
Steve Stanton Sr. says, a tree skirt.
Yeah.
It could have been a tree skirt.
Yeah, I went and bought three of the house Zalads at Zaxby's just a couple of weeks ago. And when she said that it was going to be $43, I said, excuse me, I didn't realize I was negotiating to buy the building.
Wow.
Good heavens.
Yeah, things have gotten really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a comedian that talked about missing Trump.
Yeah. As we all do.
I miss it. I miss the Trump speeches. For real, though, it was my favorite speech I've ever seen a president give. It was the night the United States killed the leader of ISIS. Trump comes out of the Situation Room at like midnight in the White House, and he walks down that fucking tunnel and gives a press conference like he's giving a post-game NBA just killed a guy press conference. He walks up in front of the entire world at midnight and just goes, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He died like a dog. And I didn't change one word of that. That's what he opened with. And then he did 40 minutes. The speech is 40 minutes. For no reason. It wasn't a prepared speech. He freestyled 40 straight. Not even a speech, just mean shit talk for 40. The meanest shit talk you've ever heard in front of the whole world. Abu, we could hear him crying. I said, Abu, don't cry. Abu. Let me tell you something. Abu cried. He cried quite a bit. I wouldn't have cried. Cry baby Baghdadi. That's what we were all calling it.
Hilarious stuff there. And a lot of people are missing Trump right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that I had gotten the invite to the Mar-a-Lago New Year's Eve party, maybe next year. But they had Vanilla Ice there, and Trump gave his 2023-2024 speech.
Mm-hmm.
great First Lady, so popular, the people love her. She's right now in a hospital with her mother. Her mother, Amalia, is very ill, but hopefully she'll be recovering. But she's been very ill, so I just want to say hello to the First Lady. We just spoke. We're down in Miami, and a great hospital, and hopefully that'll be okay. But it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. So she sends her love to everybody, and she knows probably about 95% of the people in the room. And we just want to wish Amalia that she gets better as quickly as possible. Also, we look at Mar-a-Lago. Most of you are members. A couple of you snuck out. They're scalping tickets out. So do you believe it? They're getting $10,000 a ticket. If my members, I know my members are rich, but they're cheap as hell, you know. If they knew they got 10,000, they'd be out of here in 2 seconds, right? They're scalping tickets. I see people, I've never seen these people before, I tell you what. But I know most of the people in this room, and you're fantastic people, and we're going to have a fantastic year. We're going to have a great year. Our country has gone to hell, and we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around pretty quickly. We go to Iowa. We have the caucus, the great Iowa caucus. I kept that first in the nation. It's been there for a long time. The Democrats are going to move it back in the pack, and I think they remember that in Iowa. But the caucus starts in 2 weeks, just about 2 weeks from now. And here we go. Here we go. We have to win it a third time. We're winning it. We're going to win it a third time. So again, have a great new year. My children are all here. They're in the back. There's one that happens to be skiing. I gave her a little. I said, go ahead, darling. Go skiing. Enjoy yourself. Just don't fall, please. Don't hurt yourself. But my children are here. They're all here. And I just want to thank everybody. We're going to have a great 2024. We're going to make America great again.
You gotta love Trump. I mean, I don't know how you don't. He is hilarious. Carol Miles is with us this morning, and she says Trump himself is funnier. I don't disagree with you. He does keep things on a lighter note always. With all the stuff going on around him, you would think that he would be kind of hateful and spiteful and be lashing out, but we're not seeing that from him.
He's keeping this on a very, very lighthearted scale, but also pointing out that they're not just coming, that he's just the front guy. They're coming after you because we're living in a police state now. And there's no two ways about it.
Well, and, Bill, I think it's interesting. Iowa caucus is, 15 days away, 14 days away at this point. Trump is still heavily in the lead. We have Nikki Haley going out there. We have Ron DeSantis going out there. And
speaking of Nikki Haley.
Oh, geez. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I have a lot to say.
What was the purpose of the question in the first? But why would you're running for president of the United States? The year is 2023, and somebody gets up and asks you about what caused the Civil War. First of all, I think she should have said, what does that have to do with the price of eggs in China? What does that have to do anything with this? But I wish she had answered. She didn't mention slavery, so automatically that made her a racist. And she probably thought that was a foregone conclusion, since that's the crap they teach in school these days. But she should have said, well, the Democrats didn't want to give up their slaves, so they they decided to separate themselves from the country because the Confederacy was Democrats. Hello, and Democrats also started the Ku Klux Klan. Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow. What party did he belong to? I believe it was the.
Was it the Democrats?
It was the Democrats. Who put the Confederate flag up on top of the State House in South Carolina? It was Fritz Hollings, who was a.
I think the answer is a Democrat. Yes.
Dad, well, what do you know? Well, that's the answer she should have given. But she's been. Why they asked that had to be a setup question.
Here's the thing. Nikki Haley's been awful on a lot of things.
Yeah,
I don't think that she has done a good job. I think that here's the thing. I think at one point I liked Nikki Haley, but she has been terrible on foreign policy. She has shown that she's a true war hawk. And I think that she would be bad for this country. I think she would be bad as a president and bad as a vice president. I think there was something that I saw over the weekend that said, you know, if she's a viper. If she got into the White House, she would be working against Trump at every point in time if she was to become the vice president. I'm going to get to some comments. Steve Stanton Sr. says, didn't see any cue cards or teleprompter in regards to Trump.
Yeah.
He's always off script, I feel like. And Andrea Beck says she's not a fan of Nikki at all. And Mary McCann Hybrider said she is a neocon. And Lizzie Warren said, to this day, there are Democrat voters who refuse to believe Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Yeah, we should definitely start teaching more history.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the big things. Everything comes back to education, Bill. Everything.
Without a doubt.
And
when we have all this, from the river to the sea type things, when you hear these cretins say that, just ask them one question: which river and which sea are they talking about?
They have
Evaluate
no idea.
that blank stare.
Yeah, they have no idea.
And free Palestine. Palestine was free. Israel gave it to them in 2005. And said, okay, it's yours. And they had all sorts of great industries and things set up that they could have made their own power. They could have made their own products. They could have joined the rest of the world in international commerce, but they didn't do that.
No, they didn't, Bill. And
they destroyed those. They destroyed those factories. They destroyed the very livelihood, and then of course they attacked the people that were supplying them with all of this, with power and things of that nature. Lesson number one: don't attack the people that are giving you, that are feeding you and giving you power.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bill. We had an incident over the holidays with one of our own statues here in Forsyth Park. It said "Free Gaza" on it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I have not been by to see if the graffiti's been removed.
It has been fixed.
It has been fixed.
Yeah.
Were there any perpetrators named in this action?
The police are still investigating.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how that's going to come out. Don't we have cameras?
You would think.
You would think there'd be cameras in Forsyth Park.
You would think.
So you would think that they would know that. And I'd like to see more security around that monument. You know, we're coming in second in the Civil War.
Yeah.
So, I'm tired of this nonsense of them attacking these things that they don't know anything about.
Not only that, what does that do? What do we have to do with what's going on in Israel?
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, what is vandalizing a piece of property in Savannah, Georgia, going to do for the people in Gaza? Any ideas? Do you guys have any answers for me?
How about
I can't
nothing?
figure it out.
Yeah. So what is what's the end game for all these people?
Not sure, but I will tell you, this is just another little reminder that all of the Democrats from our district down here, they did not vote to support Israel. So
isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I mean, but guess who votes for them down here? We have a huge Jewish community down here. Guess who they vote for?
Yeah. You better quit voting for Democrats, okay?
Yeah.
And by the way, as we leave you today, congratulations to the two teams that have made it into the national playoffs. The University of Washington, winner in a thriller against Texas last night in the Sugar Bowl. So they'll go on to take on Michigan. I'm sorry, that beat Alabama. Alabama looked terrible. They should have, and Michigan looked awful. They don't have any business being in the national championship. And Alabama should have beaten them by 4 touchdowns.
Is this what happens when winners don't actually get to go?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I think Georgia would have handed them their head.
Yeah.
But because they certainly did with Florida State. That was a Mexican standoff. I don't know if you can say that anymore. Georgia came out with a victory. Florida State came out with their lives. So that was how that ended up. Nevertheless, I highly recommend Boys in the Boat. Do not miss that movie. That's one of the greatest movies that's ever been made by Hollywood. And even though George Clooney directed it, was brilliantly photographed, brilliantly produced. I always love period pieces anyway. But don't miss The Boys in the Boat. About speaking of the University of Washington, it was about their rise to getting the medal at the 1936 Berlin Olympics and ticking off Hitler.
Isn't it interesting how we all love an underdog story?
Yeah.
We all love it. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on.
Well, this one's a classic. This one is a classic. Don't miss the boys in the boat.
Yeah, and Mary McCann Hybrider says Georgia should have been there. And read the book. Absolutely wonderful. I did not know it was a book.
Yep.
So good to know. Mary McCann Hybrider also said they have cameras everywhere. They just installed them on Skidaway Island. That's good to know.
Yeah, boy.
And Lizzie Warren said the statue is a piece of art. Speaking of the one in Forsyth Park, iconic in a city that is owned by SCAD, public artwork is destroyed. Interesting how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. Remember, we still need your support. So go to thelocalspin.com. You can become a member. You can advertise with us. And you can also just give us a little donation.
We certainly do need your help because apparently these people had always said over the years that they wanted a conservative, locally owned news media. Here we are. And so far, they've been silent as the Sphinx. So we'd like to hear from you. If you want us to stay on, quit advertising on these national, every one of the other local television stations are not local anymore.
Well, and who else is going to have Senator Ben Watson and also his challenger, Beth Majeroni? No other station's having that. I can tell you that right now.
Not so far. They didn't bother to interview or cover or even mention a whistleblower, FBI whistleblower from Savannah who spoke here a month ago. And silent as the Sphinx on that one, too.
Yeah, so remember to support us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.
Yep. Stay real.